YouTube, and welcome to Weekly Reads. Decided to go ahead and film this now before I uploaded my book haul, which I'm kind of tempted to do another pyramid, but I'm not going to. Anyway, one thing to note is I found a new spot to put my books. My chair. I don't know why. I have, usually I put the books on my bed. But since I'm sitting on my bed, I don't know why I don't just use my chair to put the books on. Anyway, so before I get to the books, and after I rearrange them, because I should start off with the book I finished, and, yeah. So, before I get to the books, I do have to mention certain painting I've been meaning to get to. So, 2 Fridays, so not last Friday, but the Friday before, I went with my mom to a doctor's appointment. And while we were taking the bus took us on a little tour to pick up other riders. And as is usual, I noticed the landscape and wish I'm either taking pictures or trying to do some quick sketches, because there's a lot of bits of scenery here and there that I think would make some really good paintings. Particularly, there's one of a purple flower that I just found very striking, and I mentioned that Weekly Reads and the following one that I really would like to have painted it. Well, I had some time last Saturday to paint it. I finished up Alexander the Great earlier than I thought I would, so I took the time I had left before I went and read some magazines to round out my Saturday reading to try to paint this painting, and it was a disaster. I mean, it was terrible. Anyway, although, there were some, lessons to draw from it, so it wasn't a complete waste. One, I needed a reference photo. I should not have tried to do that painting from memory. 1. 2, I probably should have done it as a landscape rather than as a floral painting, so that way it would have been not as bad my inability to draw. And 3, I really do need to try to work on a lighter touch. So what I tried to do was develop a sense of soil, or as Karen Margulis would say, dirt. So basically what she does in her landscape paintings is she'll do like an underpainting of really dark pastel with a light touch, and then she'll sort of reinforce that dark underpainting with maybe 1 or 2 layers of other darker colors before she finally starts to layer up some dark greens and lighter greens as needed. And I try to do that with my own paintings, although I have a preference for trying to use reds to sort of make the greens pop a little bit more. The problem with that is if you're not careful, rather than making the greens pop, you just make a grayish mud, and that's what happened. I'm kind of annoyed by that. So yeah. So I'm disappointed with how that turned out, and also because at the time I was sort of thinking about doing another art haul for like December and November, or not November, December and January. Order about $150 worth of art supplies from Dakota, who usually at the end of the year, they will have a free shipping for like orders of 100 or more. Normally that free shipping is 200 or more. But after this, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. Probably, as is my custom, I'll get more books. But anyway, so before I get to the actual books I read, I want to talk about the magazines I read after I finished Alexander the Great. So I started off with finishing the June issue of National Geographic, which I forgot to grab before I started filming. And I have to say, I thought this issue was rather mixed. I liked the article on sort of water in sort of the like China, Pakistan, India, or the rivers that rely on Himalayan meltwater. I thought that was a really good article, and also the one on snow leopards I thought was amazing. Wasn't entirely fond of the article on the missing climber. I thought that one was a bit irresponsible. And then I also had a bit more time, so I decided to read an issue of Bon Appetit, which I got free through Kindle Unlimited, which I mean, I don't know. I don't think I would subscribe to the magazine. I mean, the recipes were interesting, but I don't know if that really... I'm as interested enough in food to want to actually subscribe to a culinary magazine, to be honest. So anyway, with all of that out of... Oh, one more thing! On Wednesday, I got to see the 4 Children of the Apocalypse. My brother's birthday is tomorrow, and he decided to bring the kids over for like an early birthday party. We had pizza, which might not have been the best decision because my mom ended up having like an acid reflux attack or something overnight. And also one of the birthday presents I picked him up didn't actually work, so we're having to return it. Anyway, but we got to see the 4 Children of the Apocalypse, and that's always great. Anyway, so now on to the books. So the one book, so I finished Alexander the Great by Anthony Everitt. So I really enjoyed the book. It's a very interesting take, I think, on the biography of Alexander. It sort of questions a lot of the more negative interpretations of Alexander's personality that you get probably with more contemporary biographies. I also thought it was interesting Everett's argument for what killed him. And obviously, I mean, the blurb and his mysterious death kind of leads you to think, okay, he was poisoned. I mean, there has been for millennia supposition that he was poisoned by Cassander under the orders of his father Antipater. But Everitt actually, spoiler alert, argues that all of the symptoms that were listed for Alexander or more than likely he had malaria. That he'd earlier in his campaigns before the Battle of Issus had contracted a virulent form of malaria, and that likely he had a second bout of it when he during the last weeks of his life, and his health seriously affected by all of the wounds he's accumulated because he fought at the front, and he really had I guess the adrenaline junkie. That his health was not as robust as it once was. So I thought, on the whole, I really did enjoy this book. It's an amazing book, and I look forward to reading more from Anthony Everitt. So on Sunday, and the book I'm still working on is The Napoleonic Wars, A Global History by Alexander Mikaberidze. So far, I am loving this book. It is just amazing and exhaustive, and Mikaberidze's analysis is an interpretation is really something to read. So I'll be, so I've got a little chunk of it I'm going to read. I've got about a bit more than about you have about 200 pages to go, a little bit more than 200. So I'm going to try to get 80 pages read today and then get about 140-ish tomorrow, and I'll be finished. And then I'll talk more about the book next Saturday in fuller detail. But there's a lot of interesting stuff, particularly sort of the European politics, how the revolutionary France started off the wars with an ideological motive to spread the revolution, and gradually just became your traditional sort of European power politics of the period, where rather than liberating and spreading the revolution, they basically just conquered and exploited neighboring states, and Napoleon obviously extending this exploitation. So it's really, really very fascinating and an awesome book. And I think Steve Donahue has a review on Open Letters that's really good too. And so once I finish the Napoleonic Wars, I had a bit of a conundrum because I didn't know last week whether I would be able to start a book on Sunday or if I start a new book on Monday. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to start a new book on Sunday. So with that in mind, I'm going to go with SPQR, and History of Ancient Rome by Mary Beard. I read this about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't quite get on with it at the time, but hopefully having another go at it, I'll definitely appreciate it a lot more, and I'll talk about it next week. And so with SPQR on the menu for next week, I pretty much know the first book I will be reading maybe for Nonfiction November. So Monday, I will do my Nonfiction November, TBR. And I'll try not to do the TBR in the order in which I will be reading them. But we'll see how that turns out. I might end up doing that anyway. But yeah, so next Monday will be Nonfiction November TBR, and then hopefully some tags on Tuesday, a writing update on Wednesday. Although I'm not entirely sure about the writing updates. I always feel dissatisfied with those videos. I don't know if it's, I don't feel like I'm making much progress to really talk about my writing, or if I need like a bit more organization of talking about what I'm dealing with, and all of that stuff. And then on Thursday, not entirely sure. And then on Friday, obviously, will be weekly reads. So until then, BookTube, thank you. Have a great weekend, and stay safe.